Hey guys, what's going on? I hope you guys could see me or hear me. I'm excited for this stream today, guys, and every Tuesday. This is Party Project Tuesday or Tuesday Party Project Time or whatever you want to call it. But the point of the stream, guys, here is to kind of have you guys see me code. Where we're gonna, well, it's not about me seeing code. It's basically this idea of what should we build as a main. If we could only build one project that is going to get us hired. Oh my God, my buttons aren't done. What would we have to build, to where a recruiter is going to be like, wow, this guy knows what he's doing, or this girl knows what she's doing, and we're going to be able to get a job. So that's the whole point of this channel. The point of specifically this Tuesday night stream is to allow us to be able to basically have an idea with what kind of project we could build that is going to, at the end of the day, get us hired. So we started last week, and I'm going to pull up the project in a little bit, but first I would just want you guys to jump on, say hello. I want to answer questions, and any questions you guys have regarding the project, definitely ask. So we have Big B420 in the house. What's up? Good to see you here. Relaxing music and vibes. Hey man, what's up? Hey, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. And guys, if you're joining us, please say hello in the comments. Don't be shy. Start smashing the like button early, and let me know if you guys could hear me well. Let me know if my audio works and everything else works, and we'll go from there. And so here's the thing, guys. Look, when you're looking to get hired, I was thinking about a lot of times when you don't have a job yet, right? And you are trying to figure out how to get hired. You are guessing what kind of stuff you should build. You're watching what other YouTubers are saying and what you should be building. So I kind of had this idea where I'm going to be like, you know what? Instead of kind of guessing, I'm just going to like think about what am I doing at work? What are we building? And then not build the same exact thing we're building at work, because it'll be ridiculous, like, because it's secret project stuff. But basically everything that they expect you to know to build a type of project, why don't we make it our cornerstone project? So whatever thing you build, it's going to be something that you would be building at work or similar to using those technologies. So that's what I want to talk about. That's what we're going to do. And relaxing music and vibes, I actually had a couple of ideas. Hey, if you want to share them, let us know in the comments what ideas you had. What were you thinking of building or doing? And while you guys saying hello, coming in, and I'm gonna keep chatting away, I'm also gonna pull up some stuff and kind of talk about what we're doing, what we're building. And actually, that's the whole point of this live stream, guys. What I was thinking about is, why don't we think and figure out what can be built together? And I had a couple ideas before, and I think like it'll be an awesome project. It's gonna be a massive project, and I think like if you guys build something similar to it, and if you can't get hired, man, I don't know what's going on then. But we're gonna try to build something really cool, really awesome. So let me know, what we should do, and I'll tell you what my idea is. What's up, Logic Indie? How you doing? Good to see you here. So yeah, so what I want to start with is, when you're looking to build a project, the most important part, and I'm gonna like kind of breeze through it, is building something that's substantial enough that you feel like if a recruiter or a hiring manager would see this project, they're going to be like, oh my God, this guy definitely knows how to code. And that's basically what we're going to do. The technologies that I decided to choose for this particular case, because this is something that I'm working with currently, and something I know there's a lot of jobs that looking for these skills, and that's why I chose them. So for our front end, we're going to be using React. For our backend, we're going to be using Strappy, because I don't want to complicate things too much where we create a backend from scratch ourselves. So we're going to be using React in the front end, and on the backend we're going to be using Strappy. In terms of databases, currently we're starting with SQLite, and then we are going to connect it to PostgreSQL. And the way we're going to make requests, instead of using REST API, we're going to use GraphQL API. So there's a lot of great stuff that we're using. On top of it, we're going to be using React Bootstrap to make our ability to make the UI faster, easier. And as we build out this app, think about it, as we get a better idea of what we want to do, we're going to figure out what other things we have to use or implement. So let's see. Relaxing music and vibes, a community made for new devs where it's specifically made to help each other, mentor, get good reviews, support each other, etc. Dude, you just read my mind. That's exactly main profile for task management, etc. That's exactly what I was thinking. So I had this idea a long time before, and I actually bought the domain name for Dev Hunt. I thought it would be like a cool name. So basically recruiters could use it to look up top, devs and look up their portfolios based on whatever like rating we have implemented. And I think that's exactly what I want to do, and that's something I want to talk about. So why don't we build an app? And of course I'm gonna share the Git repo to make sure that you guys have access to the code, to make sure that you guys are able to pull it, work on it. And what I wanted to do is basically make exactly what we talked about, this website where number one, we're going to have users. So authentication, something that we want to learn how to implement and use, is going to be there, which is perfect. And so we're going to have this idea of users, and a user could be a developer. And for a developer, you should have the ability to at least add your projects that you're working on, and whatever projects you add to, you should be able to have like a dedicated page where you show like a brief bio of that project, like an image, kind of the tech that you're using, what you're building, and then the link to the Git repo and a link to the live site. But also as a developer, I feel like you should have option and ability to also manage your progress. So you could create your own tasks. You could manage your tasks. When tasks are completed, you could mark them completed. So I think that's a good idea. That's where we're going to start. And so what I'm going to do is kind of continue talking about it. And again, if you guys have ideas, let me know. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And I'm gonna, while chatting, and please forgive me when I chat, I type slow, and when I type slow, I can't chat. So I'm gonna first of all go open up the projects where we are. I'm gonna first to talk about kind of how far we got, and what the next steps are. But then more importantly, talk about building. Instead of building huge scope, let's define a narrow scope of what is the first feature we want to have for a project, and that's what we're going to talk about. So while I pull up my folder, I'm going to keep talking. And if you guys have questions or you want to say hello, say hello. And because I do want to hear from you guys, and I'm doing this mostly for all of us to have a community where we could have fun, build something together. And more importantly, I want to showcase the progression live of what we're building. And, regardless of how many people watch this stream or not, I basically want to, continue this process. So no matter when you jump in, you're always going to be able to go back and check out the stream. You always could come back and look up what we're doing. And I'll also make a designated area in the Discord. And if you're not on our Discord yet, let me share you the link, guys, so you could jump into our Discord. And then they'll have a designated channel in Discord specifically for this project. So even if you miss this live stream, you could always rewatch him. And then we're also going to have a dedicated chat on Discord, and they'll be awesome for us to talk about. And I'm not saying you have to build the same exact project. I'm just going to kind of show you what I'm building, and you guys could definitely go with it. And I just saw this comment. Tony, hello, I want to watch, but it's 1 a.m. in London here, brother. I totally get it. Thanks for saying hello, but definitely go get some sleep. I mean, that's why all these are going to be recorded streams. You could always come back, and we'll figure out some other things we could also do at different times in the Discord. Maybe have some live chats regarding around this idea, building this cornerstone project. So don't worry if you guys missed the stream. You could always come back. You could always watch the pre-recorded version. And this is going to be more of a not too technical stream, but it is going to be around this idea of building a cornerstone project, talking about what we're doing, and we're going to basically have this path, or at least I'm hoping that by kind of telling you what I think we should build, based on what I'm doing at work is going to be a good enough project which is going to blow any other project out of the water, because it's going to be, you know, a serious type of application. Yeah, watching it later, definitely awesome. And the reason why I want to do this live stream, not just because I want people to come and watch it, even if nobody watches it, I just want to be able to get more comfortable talking about live coding. So it's kind of practice for me as well. So definitely, you know, no big deal if you guys miss it due to your time zone and you're not able to check it out. It is perfectly fine. And so what we're going to do here is, let me kind of first pull some stuff up and kind of talk about the project we're building. I know I showed you in the first stream the project management app that I was building. I only did it for this idea of an example. I don't want to recreate the same thing that I'm already building. So today's stream, I just want to work through what we should build, you know, what kind of things, like what would be a good project. So, but before that, I want to review what we've done so far. And again, because I keep talking and not typing, you know, it's very hard for me to figure out where am I keeping all my files here so I could open up the project. Oh, run folder. You know, and that's it. Okay, CD documents. Yeah, don't be shy, guys, in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. How you doing? Where you at? You know. Okay. Let's see here. Community. I think I called it community. I don't even remember where I saved it. Community React. Nope, that's not it. Yep. Yeah, so while I look up this project, I can't believe I have so many folders open on my computer that I literally kind of like, where did it go? The whole thing that I wanted to like show you guys, where did it disappear to? Where did it disappear to? Unless I created it on my desktop. I know I'll eventually find it, but in the meantime, let's open up some place where we could draw stuff and kind of think about what we're going to build as our first initial thing. And so talking about, you know, like the project, it's very tempting to jump in and get started and, you know, and try to code. But it's kind of hard to code if you're not sure like what you're building in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So it's very important to kind of be like, what are we building? You know, what are we gonna do? And so the most important part here is to plan it out what we're gonna build. So, and while we're here, let me ask this. I have been struggling a bit with getting form data from a landing page to send to MySQL database. I've heard PHP is bad to use. It's all done. Is it all done with JavaScript? So PHP is what mostly people use, and it's, you know, it depends on what backend language. So PHP works fine if that's the stack you're using. JavaScript works fine if that's what you're using. You know, that's what we're going to use in our case. We're going to use React in the front end, and Strapi API is basically JavaScript written in Node, and I believe they're using their Express, you know, server on the back end. So we are all going to talk about it, and we are all going to do it. But let me just kind of, let's do a little brainstorming, guys. Before we get too far, let's do some brainstorming. Let me figure out how do I share my screen? Primary display. This is not my primary display. Secondary display. Okay, guys, so we're going to, can I zoom in? Is this zoomed in for you guys enough? So we're going to do some brainstorming. So this idea, what we want to do is we want to create an application, and let's start with the most basic things. We want to create a website for developers, and I can't write with the mouse, so forgive me, to manage their project. Man, this is going to be horrid. I got to figure out a better way to write manage projects. Okay, So that's our like kind of big picture. That's what we want to do. Manage projects. Okay. And then let's think about, devs manage projects. Let's think about like what are the features. So we know we need to have this concept of, and we're not even talking about the layout. We're just thinking about, how to think about the structure of the data that we're going to use. And Corey says my video is all messed up. Guys, let me know if any one of you guys are having issues and if the video is working great or not. And if it is, it's fine. If it's not, hopefully it'll work itself out. But let's get back to what we're doing. And creating with code thinks it's going to be a brilliant idea. So basically, we're going to make a website where you're able to, it's for developers to build a community where they should be able to rate each other's projects. They should be able to give each other's feedback. They should be able to post links to their own projects. And they should also have their own private area where they could use basic project management tools that are going to help them, stick with it and building their project and have it all in one. So that's a lot of features. Yeah, that's 100% relaxing music videos. It's a point system similar to Karma or Reddit where people earn points for mentoring and reviewing people's work. 100%. And also you will get points based not just on mentoring others, but also on the quality of your portfolio. And so the awesome thing is going to be people that really put in their work, people that want to like focus on becoming better developers by answering other people's questions. They want to focus on building the best portfolio they can. They're going to have the highest score. And I think eventually as a phase 2 for this website, we're going to allow recruiters to also be members or at least be able to see, and they're going to have a very simple view where they're going to see the top 20% of the highest rated projects. And basically they'll be able to easily see, and they'll probably be able to filter based like on the stack that the project's in. So if they want to see JavaScript projects, they'll see that. If they want to see React projects, they'll see React projects. If they want to see, C# projects, they'll see those projects. And they'll be able to find the right candidates based on the rating and the portfolio. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But that's so much stuff that realistically we can't do that right now because we have to start with the most simple thing. So let's make a goal for us. Number one, we're going to have a concept of user, right? And hey, forgive me, I can't write with the mouse. I'm gonna have to figure out how to connect, my iPad so I could use the iPencil. Yeah, DJ Norris, I keep telling you, I can't handwrite. I need to use my Apple Pencil is broken. I gotta fix it, and then I'll write it better. But whatever. So we're creating a dev management project. We're starting at the most simplest things. You can't have a dev management project without users, your devs, or without projects. So that's the most basic thing. So we want to have this idea of users and this idea of a project. And that's going to be our first initial step, defining this data structure and being able to make sure that we could create this data structure and we could, have this concept of users and projects, and then we'll add to that. And sure for what? Like, listen, I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best on handwriting. Like, listen, this is all you guys get. So we have this concept of user and project. So should a user be able to edit their project stuff? No, like without like logging in? No, because you want privacy. So we need to have this idea of authentication. I'm going to put it here. Authentication. This is not going to be orderly, guys. So this is like 4-year-old hour. Somebody told me, like, if you want general public to understand you, you got to speak like a 12-year-old. I'm actually going to speak like a 4-year-old, so there'll be no confusion, guys, for you. So we want to have this concept of authentication that allows authenticated users to only make changes to their project that they own. So that's pretty good. So we want to have devs, users, and we have projects. We could figure out like the data that lives in the project later. We could figure out what users have but I'm just going to tell you, you probably want to have a username, right? Pretend this says username, right? Username. And you probably want to have a first name and last name and stuff like that. So with that being said, that's kind of like where we're going to start. This is where we're going to continue, is with this idea. Let's set up this idea of a user. Let's set up this idea of a project, and then make sure we could work on this authentication part to make sure that we are able to authenticate. So after this is done, right, what we want to do is we want to create, you know, based on what we have here, we want to have, what's the first step? Obviously, you could have your website, but if we know that it's going to have authenticated users, we know that it's going to have, you know, oh my God, this is delete for me. I hate this. This is so terrible. I can't even delete anything. Oh, what is happening? I destroyed my beautiful notes. But the point is, we know we have users. I know we have, I just had an idea, guys. This is brilliant. You just type. I know we have users. I know we have projects. And I know that we have to work authentication. So, bam, right there. This is going to be like the most unprofessional stream ever. I don't even know how to use this application I'm using. So like, how do you make it bigger? Let's figure it out. Spacing, indent, bam, that's too big. Oh my God. So we have user, project, authentication. And with that being said, so we know that that's the most basic thing we have to do. So what we want to do is talk about what technologies we're going to use. This is something I talked about in the previous live stream. So if you missed it, it'll be definitely good to check it out. But for now, what we're going to do, I'm just going to find the application on my computer and kind of show you what we got so far and what's the next step and where to go. I can't believe I forgot the name I gave to this project, which is so annoying because it's hard to find now. That's like unprofessional of me. Yep. Well, it'd be ridiculous if I didn't save it, which would be really ridiculous. I'm sure I did. I'm sure I saved it. So guys, if you guys have any questions, comments, just to help me buy time to figure out where I stashed that project, it'll be beautiful. Beautiful. Yep. Yep, so crazy. Open reset. That might be the secret. Oh, yes. We did it. We found it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of bring up the code, and then we're going to look and take a look at everything. Yeah, we're going to use Strappy as our CMS, headless CMS, and then we're going to basically use that as a backend, and we're going to create a front end with React Bootstrap, just so it's easier to style. We're going to be using GraphQL instead of REST API, and go from there. And the reason why we're using all that stuff is because that's something that I'm using right now at work. So it'll be nice to kind of showcase the stuff that we're working on. So let me go ahead and open up some stuff here for you guys. All right. Yeah, what's funny, these development streams, they're definitely not going to be as popular as talking head streams, and like, because they're live, they're raw, You know, there's going to be a lot of mistakes, a lot of stuff. Like, I don't anticipate, you know, too many people being interested in it, which is fine. But what I want to do is I do want to have this realistic outlook for you guys to see that how people code, how people struggle, how they answer questions, how they figure stuff out, and, you know, how, you know, it's basically okay to make mistakes. It's okay to Google stuff. It's never like you just sit down and you write code and then magically things work. If you saw the previous stream, we basically failed lots of times, and I made some mistakes live, and then I solved those mistakes, and you guys are able to see it. Relaxing with music, almost lost my project too. Yeah, it happens. It happens. So I'm just getting everything ready here to make it beautiful, to make it like super beautiful. So always getting errors. I love errors, but I know why I have errors. So give me one more minute, guys, and I'll bring up where we are, what we're doing, where we're getting to. And what I'm going to do, guys, by the way, I'm going to actually create a repo. Yeah, totally, Luke. 100%. That's what I got to do, what we have to do. Unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to create a time travel app that allows us to do that. You know, but to be fair, if I go back in time, I'll probably end up making the same mistakes I made before. You would think that I wouldn't, but you know that might be a case. Maybe, you know, yeah, but it'll be hilarious. Yeah, so much more useful. I've gone through hundreds of YouTube videos, and it's always just explaining the scope of projects, but never the process. Nice to see the realistic method. Hey, thanks, man. Like, I appreciate like the support, and show the errors. Listen, and talk through them. The errors like super stupid, so I'll show it to you anyway. And hold on a second. I'm opening up my screen. Okay, come on, type faster, Paul, server. Okay, npm run develop. So before I do that, so let me share my other screen here. Screen share. Okay, guys, so there's no errors here, right? Because it's not a coding error, because all my code is perfect. Just kidding, my code is not perfect. Please don't judge me. It's error on the actual front-end application here. And basically what we did last time, if we're not receiving data, maybe because your server is not on, show an error. But we didn't really made it look good or anything. So I'm gonna show you in code what we're doing. So check this out, guys. And let me go back here. So what we're doing is we're making a GraphQL query, and I'll talk more about it in detail for sure. But right, we're making a GraphQL query, and when we make the query using the useQuery hook, we get back loading, data, and error. So if loading, we want to show loading. If we have an error, this is where the error message is. Because we're still starting out, we didn't really make the error nice looking or handling, but error, yes. See, just to show you, if I go back to my other screen, you see it changes here. Error, yes, that's where the error, you guys can't see anything. Here you go, because I zoomed out my screen too much, but that's where the error is coming from. Error, yes, that's the error. In code, that error is coming from here, you know, and we could console log the error to see the reason, but it's going to say server error, and the reason why is because I didn't go here yet and start my server. So I'm going to run npm run develop to start my server, right? My server started, it's on port local 1337. So let me follow the link to jump over there. So now let me log in. So by the way, can't believe I forgot my password already. It's only been a week. No, don't tell me I don't know my own password. This is too ridiculous. Jesus Christ. Now I know the password. So let me zoom in this bad boy. All right. So this is a backend that we created with Strappy. If you haven't watched the first video from what we did up to this point. So last video we set up an instance of Strapi. We set up our basic React app. Now if I refresh, check this out, we get our client list, test, and UR. All that's coming from our backend, and we're going to kind of talk about it for sure. And then we have our homepage. And what's awesome, like when you're using GraphQL, if you've never heard of it, you guys could go to GraphQL, Google GraphQL. You could go to graphql.org, read about it, find out why it's better than REST API. Well, in certain cases it is, because you're able to describe your data via typing, and then when you do a query, you ask for what you want. And notice how this query object mimics the return object's JavaScript, so you really know what you're getting. And I'll show you that in just a second here. So here we are. So this is our query, right? We want to get back clients with ID, with our first name and last name, and clients will query the clients from the database, and it will return an array. So if I go here, console log data, I already did it, and I'll show it to you guys. Inspect here. Check this out. Check this out. We have an object with an array of clients. So we currently have 2 clients, first name test client, last name awesome. And then we have another client, first name UR, last name awesome. So basically, if you're just joining in late, that's perfectly fine. You could always rewatch the stream. So right now, I'm kind of showing like what we have so far. Let me go into code to kind of talk about it a little bit more, to describe stuff. And so basically, last live stream, and you could always go back and check it out, but we're always going to talk everything in big pictures, and I'm always going to put the code on the GitHub for you guys to check out and, you know, kind of see what we're doing in code. We're also going to have our Discord. On Discord, I didn't create this channel, but might as well. We're going to, let me share our link here for Discord. We're going to have a channel for our Discord for this project. So those of you guys who want to participate in this project or have questions about it and talk with each other about it, you guys could talk about in Discord. But basically for our front end, we're using Strapi. It's basically a CMS, which allows you to easily set up a data base and API really quickly. And let's see, where's the docs getting started? So you could go to their website, get started guide. We basically went through the simple tutorial where we use npx create Strapi app to create our Strapi application, and that's basically what you guys see here, and I'll show you in the code. So we did everything in one folder. So notice how we have client. Client is our front-end application, which is our React application, and server, right? This is all our server application. Basically, this is what Strapi created for us. And what's awesome about it, which we'll later get to it, we're not going to get to it today or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, but a while from now, what this allows you to do, notice how we create a client, and we already created our projects here, but we have our clients, and we have this controller place. And so what Strapi allows you, which is amazing, is that it has a lot of functionality out of the box, but if you were to write your own custom controller, they created this awesome hook where you could basically between here write your own custom controller code, which will allow us to make things more flexible. So to kind of discuss what we did, we set up Strapi, and then we set up React and reactjs.org, I guess. And basically, if you want to learn more about what we're using, and this is not the site, this is some scam site, so please don't misspell reactjs.org because somebody bought a domain name and they want to scam you. So I wanted to show you that by example. So just type reactjs in Google. Google's not going to scam you. It's going to take you to exactly where you need to go. So you could read up on getting started with React, and we basically used npx create React app. We used npx Strapi create app, and we created a file on our computer, or a project folder on a computer that now has an instance of our React application and has an instance of our server. So let's take a look at our client application. Right now, basically what we did, because we're working with Apollo, and again, if you're not sure or you're feeling lost, no big deal. You could always go back, check out the first stream, or more importantly, like the lessons that I want to talk about, when you discover something new, go and Google stuff and read Apollo client, whatever. Look, Apollo GraphQL client, it's Apollo docs. That's the best place to learn about things. You could go here, you could check it out. So basically we followed the getting started tutorial, right? How to install it, how to add our initial client, how to set up our client. And so this code, if you yourself decide, if you decide to be adventurous and travel to apollographql.com and check it out, you'll see that this is what we did here to set up our initial Apollo setup. So we created our Apollo client, we set this up, we exported our client, and now if we go to our app.js, we, hold on a second, index.js, then go to app.js. So what we did, we, from the Apollo client library, we pulled in Apollo provider, and we wrapped our application with Apollo provider, and then we passed our client that we created. That's basically our initial setup. So what this allows us to do now, it allows us to pass our GraphQL queries, and I'll show you this by example in a second, but it allows us to pass our GraphQL queries. What's awesome about Apollo client, it has these awesome hooks, and basically you pass your query into the hook and you return the data. So that's how we are getting the data from our backend, and we are mapping through the result here, and we're returning back the first name and the last name. And if I wanted to show you guys the last name, I could put it here. So let's do client that last name, just to show you that we have access to that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a template string, right? Why not? Template strings are awesome, I guess. They're cool, right? It allows you to wrap stuff. So instead of trying to kill yourself concatenating strings, you could just do it in a template literal. And so now if I go back to my front end, we should get our first name and last name. So you see, test client awesome, you are awesome. I'm very bad at giving last names, but here's the benefit of setting up Strapi, is it gives you a functional backend fairly easily. So now, like if I wanted to create a new client, right, I could just do it in the Strapi backend. Eventually all of this is going to be done with from the front end, but right now it's easy. So if I want to do DJ Norris, it's very easy for me to add it here, and then we already have relationship to a test project that I created. So I save and publish, and now when I go to my front end application and reset, we get DJ Norris. See, so basically we have an excellent proof of concept here where we set up a front end, we set up a backend, and then we figured out a mechanism of using Apollo client to connect our front end to our GraphQL backend. Yeah, maybe you're just having internet issues, because everybody has, you know, different connections sometimes. Sometimes it's my end, you know, like sometimes it's like I don't know with YouTube anymore. I just cross my fingers and pray for the best. But so with that being said, right, we created our clients, we created our projects, but we were talked about it and we decided that this is going to be an application for developers, right? We decided that it's going to be an application for developers, and our application should have users, and our users could be developers or could be recruiters. And that's kind of thinking ahead of time, but we're going to have a concept. A user could be a developer or could be a recruiter, so we could create types. And I'm going to do this with you guys and show you how easy it is with Strapi. And if you haven't seen the first video, you could always check out the first video. And my video, by the way, might have my voice not in sync, and that could be the choppiness that Cody is referring to, which I gotta fix that on my end, but I have to do it after the stream. So, but if as long as the video looks good, as long as you guys can see me, that's all fine. So what I'm gonna do now is show you a little bit here. So GraphQL, right, when you set up Strapi and you set up your GraphQL, it comes in with what they call the GraphQL playground. And this is something that if you were to use like strict Node.js, or if you were to use, you know, make it from scratch, you would basically have to create this from scratch. And I think when you try to make a complex application all by yourself and you don't want to basically, you want to get up and running really fast. And here's the thing, guys, building full stack from start to finish is really difficult, really hard. I don't recommend for anybody. And by the way, at my job, you don't, like, I'm a front-end developer who's making the transition to full stack, but I got hired as a front-end developer. And so you don't have to try to combine. If you combine full stack development together, unless you're doing C#, because there's no such a thing as just front-end development only with C#, because everything is server-side rendered with C# and ASP.NET. So you kind of have to do the full stack feature. But the way ASP.NET is, it creates so much stuff out of the box for you guys. And the way the whole ecosystem is, that in that sense, it makes sense. But if you do React, stick to the front end, you know, first, so you guys get kind of good at one thing to be able to get hired. And I got hired with, you know, understanding front end and understanding kind of this kind of workflow, using a pre-existing API, being able to write queries for create, read, update, delete, understanding how to connect database, but I don't have to know how to make that stuff from scratch. So that's kind of what we're working on. But I was talking about GraphQL, having this playground. And so the idea with GraphQL, and I'll kind of show you an example here. And let me jump back here. So notice how we have this idea of clients and projects. And the way it works in traditional REST API, if you were to do it this way, is that you would have to, and Strapi works a little bit different because they put all the data. But normally if you had client, you would have like client's name, client ID, and then you would have a, you know, like a reference ID like field, which would reference the project. So if I wanted to get a client and also the projects that they belong to, I would have to make two REST requests to clients to get the client ID for the projects, and then another to projects to get the projects that are associated with that client. So let me go ahead here for a second. So I added DJ Norris here. And basically, guys, I realized I'm not sharing my screen. I'm an idiot. Let me go back and explain it here again, because I'm an idiot. It happens. So guys, check this out. We have this concept of clients. We have this concept of projects. And normally when you do REST API, you would have client endpoint. And I could kind of show it to you here. This is GraphQL. We don't want to do GraphQL here yet. Normally, if you were to do REST API, you would have client endpoint, which would return, let's say, all the clients, right? And Strapi does it differently. They stick projects in here, but unless you did that yourself in your REST API backend, you would just get information for the clients, and then you would get an ID here, which would refer all the IDs to the projects that that client belongs to. And so to get that, you would have to go to an additional API point like projects, like we have here, and then you would have to get the data to there. So you'd have to make two requests. And this is where GraphQL is way better, because instead of making those two requests in GraphQL, I can't type, or cut and paste GraphQL, you basically return back what you want. So if I want to get clients, I just ask for clients. You see, I got all clients. If I want to see all the projects that clients are associated with, I could add it here, right? I add projects. I do. I'm not sure what kind of data I have. We have name. And what's awesome, this is self-documenting. So this, like, let's see, for projects, I go to projects, and it shows what data is available. We have name and description. So I could type here, I could type description, and click play. And now we're getting, not only are we getting the clients, but we're also getting the projects that those clients have. And that's all done with one query. If you guys have questions, let me know. If you don't have questions, that's perfectly fine. And if this sounds complex, it's, you know what, it's perfectly fine. And this is what I'm going to tell you. That's why we have this live stream, so we could talk about it. And if you have a question, I could answer it here live. We also have Discord. Join our Discord. And we're going to have a special channel that I create for, and I'll put that Discord link in the comments. So we're going to be talking about this project. And also, we're going to have a GitHub for this, which I'll set up later. I'm not going to do it now. That I'm going to share with you guys on Discord, that you guys are going to be able to basically look at the code, and if there's something you don't understand, you'll be able to do your own research. And the point is for you guys to understand, please get this. The whole point of this stream is that we're building a cornerstone project that will take you guys to build anywhere between 1 to 3 months, depending if you're spending 40 hours a week on it, or 20 hours a week on it, or 10 hours a week for it. So this is a massive project. And so the fact that you don't understand everything, that's not the point. The fact is that you guys see that to get a job, there's a wide knowledge base you have to possess, and you have to be able to create projects that show that. So maybe your first project doesn't show that. And if you watch my previous stream that we talked about, the Tuesday stream, I talk about this idea that when you first start, you got to start whatever project you build, you got to make a better one and better one and better one. Because right now you're starting out, you're learning to code. And when I first started out, all my projects sucked. And recruiters, they wanted this. This is what they wanted. The hiring managers, this is what they wanted to see. But I kept building this on this level. Everything, stupid, simple projects. And then I decided, it's like, holy crap, I need to build more complex projects. And finally, I built the same type of project that people, recruiters and hiring managers are, that's the stuff that they do at their work, at their job. And so this is what I'm telling you. You don't have to build this right now, but you should start right now. If you get stuck, you learn a little bit and then come back and build more, but don't start now, don't wait. But you basically, whole point of this course, this live stream is to show you guys, look, this is what I do at work. This is the type of stuff I need to know. So build projects based on what I need to know at work. So if I'm already getting paid for that, and you learn the same knowledge, that you're going to get paid for that. It makes sense to me. So let's not build simple projects, but have one cornerstone projects that we're basically working towards making a more complex project that's going to get us hired. And the reason why I say this to you guys is because if your project's not up to par of what the hiring manager or recruiter is looking for, you'll never get a job. You're just not going to be able to. And I talked about in my previous stream where I talked about this idea. It's like, look, if you build a basic, quote generator, and you build a basic weather widget, or you build whatever widget, and I build this complex user management, project management website, who do you think is going to get a job if we're both interviewing for the same role? A person with a more complex project. And so that's the whole idea and this birth of this cornerstone project is let's not be average. Let's create something so amazing that how can we not get hired? And by the time you finish this project, the amount of stuff that you have to learn, you're going to be a fairly competent junior developer because you understand how everything works as a big picture. So we decided, right? We decided here that this is going to be a website which will for developers to manage and share their portfolios. They should be able to allow to upvote portfolios. They should be able to give feedback to other people and users. They should also have their own task manager for their portfolio, so you'll be able to log in and you could keep track and manage the tasks within this application. So that all sounds complex, but to simplify this, so we have this idea of a user, and we have this idea of your portfolio project. So I created a project field already in my Strappy function here. So we created a project and we created a client. So what I'm going to do for kind of this example, I'm going to delete all this stuff, right? And it's going to break the app. That's perfectly fine. Or actually, I'm going to keep it here for reference. So if people coming back from the first stream watching this stream, but we want to have this idea of users. So we already have users. Our users are going to be our basically developers. So here we could add a user, and this is me. Hold on a second. Okay, let's add another user. I already exist. Let's leave here. So add a new user. And so I'm going to create a user for DJ Norris. So I'm going to, DJ Norris is going to be his username. And then I'm going to create a fake email. Something that, you know, test email, that's fine. I'm going to create a super secret password. All right, guys, and I'm going to create save. So we basically created our first user. So what's cool about Strapi here is that we want to have a way to decide if this is a developer or a recruiter. So what we could do is we could go to edit fields, and outside of these basic fields that come up, we could add additional fields. So additional field, we could use enumeration, which basically allows us to create a kind of type for a user. And I'm going to call this user type. And we're going to create developer or recruiter. And so those are the two types of accounts. So when you create, you either decide if you're a developer or a recruiter. I'm going to say that this is going to be required field. I'm going to finish. And so we just created a user type. Here we go. And if I click on it, you guys could see it. And then our users should probably have a first name and a last name. So let's go ahead and add those fields here. So we're going to add text, first name. And if you guys are getting confused, don't worry about it. I'm just kind of talking through it. And guys, if you like what we're doing here and if you need more help, you could reach out to me and maybe we could set up some group one-on-ones and stuff like that where I could help you guys and answer your questions or look at your projects that you guys are building and give you some feedback. So we have first name and let's another one for last name. Short text. Finish, save. So let's go to users. So we have user DJ Norris. Choose type. Notice how we have options. Default, it's going to be developer. Perfect. So we already set it as a developer here. Set as save. And we're going to give first name DJ Norris. What an excellent name. And we're going to save it. So now we have a user, we have a developer. And so now what I could do here, go to Strapi. And right now this is not secure, but I'm only doing this for the demo. I'm able to go to public, and notice you have different kind of permissions you could give. So for user permissions, I'm going to say that we should be able to find one user and find all users. Save. And I'm just doing this from the standpoint, so on our back end, we added a user. I could go to our Strapi playground here. I'm going to open a new thing and I'm going to write query because we want a query. And if you're not sure what this means, look, we have a docs. When you create a data type in Strapi, it automatically does all the hard stuff behind the scenes for you guys. So instead of creating this backend server on yourself and writing all these relationships, right, you guys already have it pre-made from Strapi. So I just click on clients and it shows we have ability to search the first name, we have ability to search the last name, and we could get the ID and the projects that they belong to. So now I'm able to write a query, and I want to query clients, and because this app is awesome, it's going to show you kind of hints. So we want to get the ID, we want to get the first name, we want to get last name, and we want to get projects that the user is associated with, and let's return the name and the ID. So now if I run my query here, notice I get back all the clients, right? DJ Norris is one of them. And there's ways to also look up a single client. We'll talk about all that later, but I just want to show you how for our application we need to have this concept of developers. So that's what we created here. And actually, let me return, very important, we want to return user type. User type. Did I not save that type? Does take the clients? Okay, I lied to you guys. It's not client. I lied to you guys. I'm a liar. But that's easy. We query users. If you're not sure what users have, you could go here. You could look up query for users, which is right here, users, and now be able to get all the users here. So let me do that. It basically works the same way. Query and what you want. I want users, and I want to, and I just saw that there's some comments here. And guys, ask more questions. We'll just ask. And relaxing music, command line to start GraphQL. Basically, we run Strapi. We run Strapi develop, and then Strapi turns on, and you just navigate to the port that it's running on, and you just add GraphQL, right? So usually when Strapi starts, you're going to get Strapi like this. You could either go to Open Administration, or if you want to go to GraphQL background, you just add GraphQL here, and that takes us to our background. So I want to Google user, I want to get the ID, I want to get first name, I want to get last name, and I want to get a user type. Boom, I click here, and so now we're getting all the users. So instead of basically just, so let me back up here for a second. So we know we want to make a massive application, but the application will not work if we don't have users who could be developers, and it won't work if we have portfolio projects. So now we have this concept of a user who's a developer. So one of the most important items is done. So let's take a look and work on our backend, and kind of we have our projects, and we have our test project. We have the name, we have description. And then instead of having this relationship to a client, because this is going to be a website for developers to manage their projects, let's, instead of having clients, we want to have developers. So let's go and fix that. So we're going to go to our projects, and we're going to delete this relationship client, because instead we want to have developers. So I'm going to click relay, and this is how easy it is with Strapi, guys. So this way you could focus to do all the work that you need to do on the front end. So I'm going to make so a project could belong to a single developer, and then we're going to click project here, developer. And so okay. So a blah project, we want users, developers, developer. Okay, user permission. I want to call this developer. Come on, let me do it. Okay. So a developer has many projects, and that's what we want. So we want to create that relationship where a developer could have many projects. So we're going to click finish. We're going to click save. And we're going to go to our users right now. And eventually we're going to have the ability to create and add projects from the front end. But right now, this is nice with Strapi that we could easily add it here, and we could easily, make the changes. So currently, DJ Norris does not have any projects. So let's go to projects here. I'm going to delete the test project, and then I'm going to add a new project. I'm going to call it Shopify Store, because I know Shopify is super popular. Working, and we'll add more fields here, but for now we're doing baby steps. And then we're going to add this to DJ Norris and save it, right? And so now we're going to publish, and we're going to go back to our client users. We're going to click DJ Norris, and Norris now, you could see this relationship that DJ Norris, who is a developer, he has a project Shopify store. So let me add more users. Paul Bratz. Paul Bratz will be the username. Email, let's use fake email, paul@email.com. My super secret password. Choose type, I'm going to be a developer. First name Paul, and last name test, last name Bratz, one of my tests. And I could, what's interesting here, I could add DJ Norris's project. So if there's two developers that working on the same project, they could have access to the same project. But in this case, I'm going to save, and I'm going to create a new project for myself. Add new project, and this is going to call community dev, I don't know what you want to call it, dev management, working on a cornerstone project with on the live stream. So now I create this project, and for developer I get to choose Paul Bratz because that's who it is, and I'm going to publish. So now, like, check this out. We go to our playground, we could get all the users. So notice we have two users. We could tell who they are. We have DJ Norris, he's a user type developer. We have Paul, you know, username, user type developer. And so we have this. We could also query those projects, so we could see what projects do we belong. And all I'm going to do is click projects, and then I'm going to click here. I want to get the ID, I want to get the name of the project and description, right? And now I click play here, and notice what we're getting. We're getting all the developers that are part of our website, and we're getting all the projects they're working on. Obviously we're going to add more data to here, but now we're able to go to our front end, right? And instead of having what we had here, we could now imagine to our homepage, when people get there, they're able to see all the projects and all the developers, and we'll make it pretty later. But right now, let's make that connection. Let's kind of add that. So instead of getting clients, we're going to query our developers. And what's awesome, like, I already tested out this, you know, I already tested this out, and so I know this works. Now, we could query this by user, but we might later have security features where you can't query users if you're not authenticated or have some sort of permission. So we could actually, because GraphQL is so flexible, I could query all the projects, right? And what I could do now is I could get the name. I could get the name, ID, the name. I could also get the user, not the user, developer. And I could get the developer's ID, name, last name. And so now I could click play, and notice we get a list of all the projects, and we have Shopify stores being built by DJ Norris, and now we're able to get, you know, a community dev management, and that belongs to Paul Bratz. So maybe our first page is just going to have all the projects that people building, and that's what you're going to see, and the basic information is going to have the name and the developer's name. So now I'm able to take this query, because I already tested it, I know it works, and we could implement it in our code. Now, guys, if you are, again, I know a lot of this is going to be confusing, so always feel free going back and watching the live stream prior to this one. Also, become a member to our Discord channel where you'll be able to, we'll create a designated channel, call it Cornerstone Project, and we're going to put everything there. And that way, guys, we'll be able to talk about and we'll be able to answer questions. And what I want is to have a community there where I'm not the only one answering questions. You guys could work together with each other. So let me kind of first move on here and implement this, or actually let me share the link to our amazing Discord channel. And guys, if you have questions about anything, if there's something you want me to clarify in the code, there's no such thing as stupid question. I will definitely take my time in this live stream to answer those questions to help you guys out. So don't be shy. Definitely feel free to ask. Join our Discord. I put that in the description, not description, but I put in the comments below. And by the way, if you haven't smashed the like button, smash the like button. And again, this stream is going to be more raw, more live coding type of stuff that we're doing now. So it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be suffering, but that's perfectly fine because that's how normal kind of struggle is. So we just wrote and tested our query in our Strappy GraphQL playground. What am I doing here? Let me copy this bad boy. And now I'm going to go into my code where if you watch the first stream, guys, we basically went through an example to initially connect everything where we weren't even sure what we were building. Now we have a better idea. We're building a application that allows developers to share, manage, upvote their portfolios. So that's what we're doing. So instead of querying clients, we're going to query on our front page, on our first page. What we want to see is we want to see the projects, right? So that's what we're going to do here. I think I might have added extra something here. Let me back up here. I think that was extra. Was it extra? Yes, it was. And we're going to rename this. We're going to rename this to projects query. So whenever someone lands on our front page, this query is going to run, and we don't have that page yet. We're just doing the basics, just making sure that we understand the basic way of how we're communicating our front end to our back end. Because once we understand that, all the other stuff is not going to be much easier, but it's going to be easier. And so we get a data object back. And so what we're doing here is we wrote our query that we tested in our GraphQL playground. We use query hook to where we pass our query, and that comes from our Apollo client library. It's a hook that they created, so we don't make that from scratch. And we have access to loading, data, and error. So if loading is true, it's going to show loading message. If there's an error, it's going to show an error here. Let me just call it an error. And then for now, I'm just going to console log the data. This I'm going to right now comment out because it's going to break at our current implementation. So let's come back and see what happens. So we go to our React app, we click refresh, and notice we had loading. Now it says client list. I know that there's no errors, so everything's working great. So now if I look at it, notice we have our projects, we have our list of projects, and we're getting exactly what we asked for. That's the beauty of GraphQL. Like, we asked to get this specific data. If we want additional data, like, we could add it here. Like, if we want the description, right? So we add the description. So we got to make sure that we add the description in our query that we're actually doing. So we want project and description. That's beautiful. And so now we go to our front end and click refresh. And as we look here, we got projects, and notice we added the description. So we got the description, we got the name, and we got the developer who that project belongs to. That's amazing. So before going through, let's talk and see some questions. And Corey, you're not that behind, believe it or not. We just have another live stream, so you can go to my YouTube channel. I got organized in a list. It's not my normal Friday stream. This is a new stream that I started, so this is episode 2. So you could watch episode 1 to get a better idea. And so you're not that far behind. And I did mention there's a lot of stuff and a lot of moving parts, so it's okay if you're not even sure of the 40 or 50% or even 80 or 90%. That's the whole point of the stream, is to give you big picture. The point of having this stream is to have me committed to answering your questions live. It's the easiest way for me to do that. And the point why I want to have it on Discord is because I want to not just me be able to help you, but other people in the Discord community, because there's definitely a lot of developers who are just starting out or who have more experience than even I do, and they could help us out as well. And then relaxing music and vibes. My biggest problem is understanding the context of each library framework and how they're applied to the project and what are all required in one project. Yeah, and that's, for everybody. And this is why when you're starting out building your project, that's kind of something you'll learn as you go along. And that's why I kind of started by defining our scope and defining what libraries we're going to use, and then just keeping it at those libraries and introducing them to you. And a lot of times the way you discover these libraries is you'll be at work and someone's like, we're going to be using GraphQL in Nepal, and they tell you. So when you're starting out, you don't have to figure out what they are, because sometimes you're not even aware what exists, but you will learn over time. And so for this project, I'm using the most popular libraries, and it's also the same stuff I'm using at work, and that's how we choose it. So let's go back to the code here. So we know that we're getting our projects, we're getting it exactly in the data that we specified here, and that is coming from our backend. That is so amazing. And so what I'm going to do now, let's implement this. And again, we're not going to worry about styling today. I am going to basically uncomment this because this is going to be very similar. And we're going to refactor this anyway. Hey Paul, I got a job today. Company working with Bootstrap 3 and 4. Any tips? Bro, I just want to say congratulations. That is so awesome. I am very proud of you and the fact that you finally got something. Any tips? Man, dude, this is amazing and awesome. Just very proud of you. And once you start working, I guess the first tip I would give you, just when you go there, pay attention, do your best, the general stuff. But the most important tip would be whatever feedback they give you, really listen to the feedback that you get, and and make sure that at least this is me. You don't have to listen to this advice. When I first started my new job, I didn't want to lose it. So every time I would go to work, I would take notes and I would figure out the things that I'm familiar with, or things that I'm not familiar with. And when I come home from work, I would focus on trying to learn that thing. So congratulations, man. But back to the code, and brother, you're always welcome. Back to the code. So this was our all code. We're no longer getting clients, and we're just going to call it project list. And then eventually we're going to make this look pretty. We'll add more data. I just want to set up a basic functional idea that, look, we're able to get data from our backend, which is a huge step. So we're not getting clients, we're getting projects. And I know that is because when I console logged it here, that's what we saw. We want to map through the project here, and we want to return some data, which I'm going to return in a second, guys. Here, let me right now just do this. When you work with React, everything you return has to have a unique ID. It's just the React way of doing things. So you always want to pass a key with some sort of unique ID anytime you're using map. By the way, if you guys not familiar with map in JavaScript, let me know and I'll go over it with you how it works. And for now, we're getting a project. And let me just right now, I know we don't have clients. Let me comment this out so it doesn't break anything here. Go back here. Let me look at the, see, I told you it's going to break stuff. Let me refresh here. So we're getting our project, and inside our project we have our developer, which is an object, and we have first name and last name. So let's go ahead and add that. So we're returning, we are returning client.developer.firstname. It's not client, thanks guys, it's project project.developer.firstname, project.developer.last name, and let's jump back in. Let's see what happened. And sure enough, look, we're getting DJ Norris, we're getting Paul Bratz, and if let's add Luke as a user so we have some more users to look at. So Strappy, amazing. Look, I don't have to make this from scratch. We already have it. So let's add another user, and we'll add Luke. I can't type and spell. Luke, fake email, Luke at email. I hope that's not your email. User type, Luke is going to be a developer. His first name is obviously Luke. His last name, we're gonna just go like this, whatever. And currently he doesn't have any projects. You know what? He's working on these projects with us together. So I'm gonna add them to here. And this is gonna create an interesting issue. Because right now, let's see what the interesting issue there's gonna be. Missing password. Yeah, Luke needs a password. So let's add super secret password that even I don't know. We're gonna save. So I wonder what the interesting problem is gonna be. So let's check it out. So we reload, and notice how I am no longer being showed in this project. And let's see here. Why is that happening? And the reason why it's happening right now, we actually did not set up this functionality of having a developer be part of multiple, a user being part of somebody else's project. And you know what? That's kind of like stuff you figure out as you're building your app. So for now, what we're going to do, because at the end of the day, our first most important kind of idea is to have developers who are able to work on their own projects and share the projects, and other developers could vote on people's project. But for our first initial alpha build, we're not going to have a feature where two developers could work on the same project. And so what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to add him to a, and this should actually be project, but don't worry about it, we'll fix it later. So I'm gonna create a specific project for Luke. Add a new project. We're gonna have very original Luke's project. Most amazing project ever. And then we're gonna add it to Luke. So we're gonna save it, publish. We're gonna go and refresh. So now we're getting, and I gotta fix mine. Let's go to projects, community dev project that belongs to Paul. So notice how we're only able to add one user. We can't have multiple, and that's fine. That's what we want for our alpha build. So I'm gonna save it to Paul Bratz React app. So now we're getting our general data. So if we go back to our application, we're getting our data. We're mapping through our data. And the way map works, let's take a look at it. Let's do it. Let me go here. So let me open up another application here. Where did it go? Run JS here, make it huge screen. Okay, I was doing super secret data parsing here. I could delete it. Run JS file, new tab. Oh my God, what is happening? I thought Run JS was free. Were you trying to be tricky? Run JS should be free. Oh, I see how they like it. They don't let you have, for a free version, they don't allow you have multiple open windows. So I'm just gonna destroy this.
Oh God, there's a lot of data to destroy. Is there an easier way to delete? Control A. Yep. All right, guys. So what I want to do before jumping in here, let me look at some comments here. Just an idea, you should make it so a team lead could assign mini projects to other people working on the project, that each person could build an individual piece of it. I think we'll do that for later. I think for now, because that, what you're talking about, and I appreciate it because it's awesome. We want to have these additional functionalities, but what you're talking about is called scope creep. It's that we have an initial project that we want to build, and then we keep adding features. We kept adding features, and then the scope gets so huge that we never finish this project. And that's why I kind of did this beginning stream. I start with this idea: what is the most basic thing we want to do? We want to create an application which allows users or developers manage their projects. So we definitely need a concept of a developer and a project. We did this, and so that's where we're going to start. So we're going to basically start one step at a time. So the first thing we want to do, and that's kind of what we're doing now, is let's create our users, developers. Let's create our projects. We just did those. Now let's see if we could at least put some of that basic information to the front page. Okay, we did it. Once we finish that, what we're going to do is, all right, so we have a front facing, so a public view. Everybody should be able to see everybody's project. They can't edit it, they can't do anything else, but they could kind of see like a block style, maybe cards of all the projects that we have. But if they want to upvote the project, if they want to add comments, they need to log in. So, or if I want to add my own project, I have to be an authenticated user. So the way this is going to follow, and this is probably something we're going to do next week, once we finish up this part where we have concept of a user, we have concept of a project. So the next step, we're going to build our login page and then see if we could log in as a users, and then have a private area where you have certain access rights as a logged in user. So maybe if you're a logged in user, you have the ability to add a like or upvote a project, or we're not going to do downvotes because that's ridiculous. Have a bunch of haters jump on, but we're going to have just upvote. So as a logged in user, you're going to upvote. But with that being said, guys, let me know if you guys want to see, and I think I'm just going to do it anyway. So very common in JavaScript world, or I should say React world, is to basically the use of the map function. And basically what it does, it maps through an array and then returns that data. And so basically imagine, I'll do a super quick one. I'm not gonna do it too crazy. We have an ID and we have user Paul Brat, right? And then let's make a couple more with a comma. And I'm not sharing my screen. I just realized that because I'm an idiot. Luke, I love the idea. You could literally follow what we're doing and make it with Blazor. Also, I don't know if you met that guy, Endpoint. Like connect with him because he's a C# dude, or at least now he is. He just transitioned, and I told him to make a Blazor app, and that's what he's doing. He's the computer science student that's been on a bunch of my live stream. I think that's a great idea. You guys should do it. And once you build it with REST API, figure out how to build it with GraphQL. And so that will be an amazing challenge for you, Luke. Create the same thing we're building with Blazor and stuff like that. Yeah, I kind of added you as a user. There you go. And now that I know what your project is, I'm gonna go to the Strappy comments here. Project, Luke's project, most amazing Blazor app. That's what we're going to do. Save it. That's gonna be the thing. But before that, guys, we're talking about. I just added your project name. I'll show you later in the screen, but because I always forget to share my screen. So I want to just talk about the map function, how it works. And the map function basically allows you to map over something and return like an individual thing, and like we're doing here. And like we're doing here, we're mapping through our projects and returning some data. And so I'm going to use a simple example here. So I'm going to do, let's give this a name, const users equals an array. So if I want to map through this array, like I would literally just say users dot map. And what this takes in, it takes in a callback function, right? And we're doing the same thing here. See, this is our callback function. And inside your callback function, you're gonna do stuff. And for now, like do stuff here. And the reason why we're getting undefined 3 times is because this is not returning anything, right? It's not showing anything. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to pass, you could pass item, this could be cookie, you could name this whatever you want, but if you're working with users, one second here. Luke, sorry, who's the other C# guy? Here, I'll show you. And I'll come back to that map example for in a second. Oh goodness. Let me go into. By the way, if you guys want to join Discord, I'm gonna put the link here. And I'll just show you anyway. I'm just gonna do it in our channel here. General. It's this guy. Okay. Why can't I? There we go. Yeah, I type so slow. All right, there you go. So here we are. And so basically you pass what you want, and you want to use like appropriate names, so not cookie, not whatever, data. Since we're mapping through an array of users, you want to return a user. And so we could console log that user, and notice we get a user, so we could return our ID. So we only get the IDs. We could return the user. We return the user. And again, the reason why this is undefined is because map creates a new array. And so I'm going to put users here. No, I already called users. User array. And so if I console log user array, what am I doing? The typing is killing me. My keyboard doesn't like me. Notice how it returns undefined, right? That's because we're not returning anything from here. So if I just wanted to return a data here, just if I wanted to have the array of just user only, notice we return Paul Brad. So here you could do whatever you want and you return it as a new array. And what's interesting in React, when you return an array in React, it will automatically use the return value. So this is like something interesting that maybe some of you guys don't know. Check this out. I believe this is gonna work. Let's try it. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I'm a liar. But it executes the array. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. See what happens. Yeah, notice how it right away returns the array. That's kind of cool. Something that I didn't know. And that's why in this case, when we're using, let me go back here. We're using this dot map. We don't have to save it to a variable and then return the variable. It gets executed right away, as you saw just now, and basically renders our UI. Where our app go? And renders our UI. So in this example, you want to have a return value, and it returns what you want. And you could process this data. Let's say you had an array and you don't want to mess this array up, right? For instance, like, I don't want to mess this up, right? But I want to return a object which has the same fields as the current item, and then I want to add an additional field that I want to call, status. I could easily add it. And notice how now this is in our new array. And what's awesome, we didn't have to mutate this. So I still have this original array. And I guess I could call this new array. And now our new array has the additional data that we wanted to provide. And that's very common in React because you don't want to mutate the original data. And that's why it's very common to use the map. So if you guys, maybe that was too confusing, you could always let me know, ask me questions and stuff like that. So guys, that's kind of where we got to so far for today's stream. I do have to work later today, and so I kind of have to end this stream a little bit earlier than usual. But guys, we're making progress. Let's do a quick review. What we decided on the app that we're building. We decided that we're going to do web development community, where you have this concept of developers and projects. They could manage and add projects. Other developers could upvote and leave comments to projects. That's at least our initial scope. So that's what we're going to work on. Today we created our user who could be a developer. We created our project data point. We actually connected it to our backend, to our front end using GraphQL, and we pulled that initial data. We'll style it later. For now, this is not a big deal, because the next step for us is to create this idea of a logged in authenticated user. So if a user is authenticated, they should be able to see a private page. And if the user is not authenticated, they should not be able to see the private page. So what we're going to work on next video, with a couple of users that we created, we're going to build a login page, and we're going to see how to do authentication with Strapi and GraphQL. But with that being said, guys, because I literally have a meeting in 3 minutes, I'm going to run. I appreciate all of you guys. Sorry I had to cut this short, and I just looked at the time. I was like, oh my God, I got to go to work. But guys, thank you so much for all your support. Thank you for jumping in. We're going to work on this together. And before I go, let me throw the Discord link. I'm going to add a link to a channel on a Discord just for this project, and this is going to be a continuous thing until it's done, because and the link is already in the comments, so just grab it from there. But this is what we're going to work on until it's done, and the whole concept is to create a good enough project that how can you not get hired. And the point is not for you to completely copy me from scratch, but to get ideas, and of course you can. That's why I'm going to share the GitHub. But with that being said, guys, much love. Really appreciate all of you guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.